Welcome to the third episode of URT Number, the Amazing Race 31 podcast from Reality TV Warriors. My name is Michael Harmstone, and joining me as always is the Canadian who needs to put his 35-year-old big girl panties on, Logan Saunders.
Good early morning.
Good early morning indeed.
No, I've got the early morning. I have the early morning. You've got the late evening.
I've been up 17 hours. Logan is flying to Antwerp tomorrow. I'm flying to Amsterdam tomorrow. We're meeting up in Antwerp on Sunday, and we're going to be press at the Belgian Mole finale.
Exciting.
What a week.
And head to the airport in 6 hours.
Yeah, I head to the airport in about 15-ish.
That's better than Logan's 6.
My bags are literally around me and packed at the moment. As soon as we finish this podcast, this microphone is being taken down and putting straight into my bag.
Amazing.
Luckily, it only takes me 10 minutes to pack.
Yeah, and then we'll be using it to interview the final 3 of Belgian Mole, and hopefully Gilles, and hopefully Yuri, and hopefully everyone else.
That'll be fun.
And the lady who tunes out pretty much everything we say each episode, Michelle Pierce-Donovan.
I just have to, Michael.
It just makes everything so much faster.
Exactly.
This was another pretty fun episode, I would say.
I loved this episode.
I wouldn't say this season is as good as Belgian Mole is yet, but it's certainly not as bad as 30 was.
Oh, I'm glad. I'm glad for you.
Because if it was as bad as 30, we wouldn't be podcasting it.
We would always podcast. I'd podcast by myself.
So, previously, 10 teams raced to Lao, not Laos. Corinne and Eliza ran in front of the tuk-tuk to stop Leo and Jamal getting ahead, but it was Rachel and Alytha who drew first blood at a double U-turn, forcing Becca and Floyd to target Tyler and Corey. Becca fumed while Rupert and Laura were tongue-tied, Elephants cheered everyone up apart from Becca and Rupert, and Leo and Jamal won the leg, while Rupert and Laura shot everyone by managing to make it through a whole 2 legs.
It's sad. I'm still sad.
I can't believe you actually didn't think he was going to go first.
I didn't think he'd be that shocking.
I did. He's like 70, and also he's not very worldly. It's a wonderful combination of people who are going to be terrible at the Amazing Race.
He's not 70 though. Jesus.
He's late 50s. I think.
No, I think he's 54.
Is he?
He's not far from me. Yeah.
Jesus.
54. Yeah.
And teams must now fly to Ho Chi Minh City and book their tickets and hotel using a phone, which they're given. And because of this, we get no departure times whatsoever. Boo.
Yeah. Oh, well, look, at least we got them 1 week, some weeks, and at least we're not totally devoid.
I was spoiled last week that we got 8 of the 10 departure times. I was looking forward to that being a continuing theme of the season, but no.
It's like they give it to us and they take it away.
They give it and take it away. Just like they seem to be doing with Amazing Race Australia.
Oh, what are they doing? I don't understand.
The application appeared yesterday, didn't it?
Well, look, I don't know whether it's the race. The graphic behind it looks very Amazing Racy, but I haven't heard that it's a race. But, look, an insider has told me that it is the race, but it's revamped. But what does that mean? Does that mean another channel's taken it and they're not actually using the name and calling it something else? I mean, I don't know.
Does it mean that they're only going to race around Australia because it's called Amazing Race Australia, not Amazing Race World?
Are they going to go to Revelstoke?
I think that also, this is something interesting because on the terms and conditions, which I always click on with everything in my life, you can have a passport to New Zealand as well as Australia.
Yeah, they did that for Australia 3 though, didn't they?
They did, but they didn't do it for 1 and 2, so I thought that was quite interesting. And you have to be available for filming between 1st of August and 30th of September, so it's very soon.
So, once teams are in Vietnam, they must get a package of herbal remedies from the House of Vietnamese Medicine, which will contain their next clue.
Can we just go back to the airport when they gave peace offerings to each other?
And alliances.
And for once, it isn't Colin and Christy.
Well, Colin and Christy offer inner peace.
That's a good one. I love Tyler's eyes when Rachel gave the offering to Team Fun.
What did she even give? Like a pair of shorts?
It was like a jumper, I think.
It's a very weird gift.
Was she Molly Weasley from Harry Potter? I've knitted you a jumper, Becca.
Maybe she was offering Rachel and Alytha a sock to make them free elves. Fun fact, that is the second Dobby reference I've made in 2 podcasts.
Here lies Becca, a free rock climber.
And Tyler and Corey say that they're not trying to use U-turns, and Rachel and Melissa also offer a peace offering, at which point Tyler eye rolls, and they say they're not drama mamas.
And Becca has the most sarcastic response I've ever heard. No, you're not drama mamas. The peace offerings are supposed to be good and fun.
And then they form a Big Brother No U-turn alliance.
What I'm curious about is how good was that trail mix?
It must have been very good if they were, if they'd been forgiven for the U-turn.
It absolves all the guilt that Becca and Floyd had been having for the past day.
Yeah. And then Janelle and Brittany say they're ashamed of themselves for being competitive. And because it seems to be traditional this season, we get a flashback to the last time Becca and Floyd were in Vietnam, and Floyd basically dying. And talking of dying, Tyler then basically wishes everyone dead.
Everyone should be dead. I love that. I've actually wrote it down. I thought that was great. Because that's what it's like in Asian countries. You just, like, you go out on the street and it's like, every man for himself.
Well, there is a great bit when Becca and Floyd check in at the pit stop first, because they just do the Harmstone tactic of walking straight and slowly across the road and hoping you don't die.
Yeah,
well, that's basically how you cross the road in Vietnam. I've mentioned it so many times on this podcast.
And Thailand and Indonesia. Oh dear. Hey.
Hey. The
Afghanibals wrapped.
Yeah, I was ignoring that because it was crap.
I thought, I'm going to write this down for Michael.
We've had previous discussions over me hating people who can't rapping, right?
Is it better or worse than Godfrey Manguiza from Big Brother Canada?
It's on a par. It's one of my irrational hatreds. I really, really hate people who can't rap trying to rap. I'm going to put Becca and Floyd in there as well from the premiere. Because I deliberately skipped over their terrible rap because it was terrible.
They need lessons from the Richards.
Before it started, Janelle and Brittany had that little interview to camera, and they said, we're just 2 mums with their 3 kids. See that line? See that line? Do you understand what is wrong with that line? Why do women do this? Why do mums say we're just 2 mums with 3 kids? I don't understand why they think that once they become mothers, they're a different person in the world and they don't rate with everybody else, and they keep perpetuating this thing that is in their minds that they have to make their kids proud of them, and that's what their life is. It drives me insane. I get so angry.
I hate to break it to you, Michelle, but I think that may be the editors pushing the mom team label on them. I have a horrible feeling that Janelle and Brittany probably don't define themselves as just being moms.
Especially if you do a cutaway to Janelle and Big Brother 6.
Well, that was a while ago now, wasn't it? Was she a mum then?
No. I think she was still a Playboy model.
Yeah. I just don't. I hate hearing that line on TV, on any show.
This is a bad week for you, really, because we have the mum comment on Amazing Race, and we have the family visit on Survivor. Which you've gone on record as hating the most out of anything that has ever existed in reality TV history.
I was watching it the other day, and I'm thinking, okay, when the crying happened in some of them, I'm okay. But then someone was actually sobbing, and I'm thinking, get yourself together, woman. Get yourself together. It hasn't been that long since you've seen them.
Out of interest, what would Tom have said if you were about to go on Australian Survivor and you were going to get married during the season? What would he have said if you wanted to move the wedding to 2 days beforehand?
I couldn't have. No, he wouldn't have had a choice. I couldn't have. I just probably wouldn't have got married and waited till I got back. I couldn't have moved it. Too hard. Just wouldn't have got married. I just would have left.
Do you reckon Gavin and Mrs. Gavin just eloped and then told everyone afterwards?
Crazy.
So once teams find the doctor with the herbal medicine in the museum, it's a Detour, which is reel it in or light it up. And in Reel It In, teams must catch 8 prawns in a restaurant where you catch your own food to get their next clue, formerly seen on Amazing Race Asia 5. And in Light It Up, teams must join Asia's Got Talent semi-finalists 218 dance crew and learn a routine and perform it to get their next clue. And I point out that they're semi-finalists because they were semi-finalists. I looked them up after the episode. Because Phil said that they were one of Asia's favourites, and actually they weren't. They were semi-finalists, and it wasn't close.
Are they better than the 604 crew?
I have no idea, but I do happen to know that the person who won was a, and I quote, creepy magician.
Oh, Matt from Australian Survivor?
Yeah, Matt from Australian Survivor dressed as the girl from The Ring and did magic for people on Asia's Got Talent. Because that genuinely is the winner's talent, is dressing up as the girl from The Ring and doing creepy magic. And creepy magician is one of my favourite phrases I've seen on Wikipedia for a long time.
I bet you Leo and Jamal would have done better with the magician thing than the dancing thing.
And I'd love to ask this question because there is one very easy answer this time. Which one would you have done?
Dancing.
I think I could dance.
I feel like you don't go anywhere near a fishing challenge ever. Because it's too unpredictable. There's absolutely no skill to fishing, and I will fight anyone who says there is.
And I've never caught a prawn. I don't know how easy they are to catch, but I can't believe they actually called them prawns and not shrimp.
It's basically the same thing.
I understand, but Americans call them shrimp for some reason, and so when they said prawns, I was like, wow, they're actually using the correct term down here anyway.
There is probably a subtle difference of some description, but I don't know what it is, and nor do I care what it is.
You should watch Forrest Gump and you'll find out. Butler can teach you. Shrimp gumbo, prawn gumbo.
Those prawns were scary, though.
Prawns have claws on 3 of their 5 pairs of legs. Shrimp have claws on 2 of their 5 pairs of legs, apparently.
But those claws were weird. I've never seen anything in Australia like that. Those claws were scary.
As far as cooking them goes, they're virtually identical and interchangeable.
Right.
And I know full well that the editors are probably listening to this podcast and going, oh, we finally got him. He's going to do a nice early face cream montage. Nope. Not taking the bait this week, but the prawn task was full of absolute filth. But I'm not doing a face cream clip. Not just because I'm going to Amsterdam in 15 hours, but also because you can't beg it.
There's a lot.
Corinne's line, hold him by his hands. The hands won't win. She's trying to grab his claws. Oh my god.
It starts with Corey saying, I can't get it out, open your mouth. Then we have Tyler and Corey both getting shrimps and them saying, you got to get his mouth. I'm going to give you my pole when you get it. There's absolute filth. I wrote a lot of it down.
Why?
Because of course I did. I'm me.
God.
They were begging it with this challenge, and as Denise off of James Earl will attest, I don't do well with begging.
You know what? When I was writing the list of all the races last week that had been in, as I'm writing names down, I'm thinking of all the different quotes you've had for these people. And all the different ways you say things, and I was laughing.
That's the problem with us having done about 15 Amazing Race seasons now in total, including all the international ones. I just have so many of these jokes of people.
I thought, I haven't heard that for a while. I haven't heard that one for a while.
Yeah, as I said to Michelle earlier, the getting Belgian mole exit interview thing is slightly awkward for us because now all the stuff we've said about these people is going to come back and bite us.
You think we're going to have to eat biscuits?
I think Ingrid might have to offer us a peace biscuit, yeah. But also stuff like the Elizabeth is a man-hater thing, Axel being a fuckboy, Bass basically being Buster Bluth from Arrested Development, and only being allowed out because Mother said he was. That's the sort of thing that's probably going to come back and bite us.
Wonder how Buster Bluth would be on a family visit on Survivor.
As the contestant or as the loved one?
The loved one. He couldn't last on an island. He would lose his other hand the second he went fishing.
I hope these mole contestants take you out. That'd be hilarious.
No, they all love us. We're very nice people. We're just a bit silly with them.
Yes.
So, Leo and Jamal do try and mislead Corinne and Eliza because that's their favourite game this time, apparently.
They duped Corinne. Corinne must feel like an absolute dumbass for falling for it.
They didn't fall for it for long, thankfully. And Becca says that she did performing arts as a child, and Floyd was a drum major last time we saw him on Amazing Race. So, obviously they're going to go for the performing challenge. But do you know who my favourite person in the entire bit of choreography was? And it's not going to surprise anyone in the past few episodes, given my love of this team. But Colin Gwynn.
Oh my god,
Really?
That was the best.
Colin was the best at this challenge.
He went 200.
We finally started seeing shades of the old Colin and Christy in terms of just being pretty much insane. There's no better way to say it. They're slightly mental, and I love it.
It was great that they were first place to the doctor, because I've never heard anybody be so excited to meet a Vietnamese doctor in my life. They're like, hello, doctor!
You know how everyone was saying in the past 2 weeks, oh, I don't like Colin and Christy anymore, they're boring now. Yeah, show them this episode. This was a classic Colin and Christy are mental episode.
Yeah, it's just crazy fundamentalist Buddhists now.
Yeah, and it's fun.
Especially Colin's over-enthusiastic dance moves. And I can't remember if it was him or Tyler that sang the karaoke song, but it sounded like one of the parts to Baby Got Back, and it just made me laugh so hard.
And then we get an iconic Alytha quote when she says, I don't know if anyone's heard, but I teach yoga. And that's basically choreography.
Yeah, no, it's not, love. I'm sorry.
It's like dance, but it's very slow and you have to be flexible.
And did you spot who rolled her eyes at this?
No.
It was professional
Me.
lumberjill, rocket scientist, astronaut, mechanical bull operator, loan officer, race car jackman, spoken word artist, footwear designer, aspiring writer, fire dancer, phlebotomist, anesthesiologist, quantitative strategist, YouTube sensation, former Miss Delaware, escape room owner, hostage negotiator, pleasure machine, sex therapist, missionary recruiter, and humanitarian, Rachel Riley.
Yes, I did notice it now, after that diatribe.
Must try harder, Vindles, although please stop giving me 17-letter words. Anesthesiologist.
Distrustfulness.
Bindles, can you go faster than that? You need to go faster, and you need a longer word than 13 letters next time. Come on, you can do it.
Also, who listed their occupation on a Survivor bio, because that's the theme this week, as pleasure machine?
Aussie?
We had an Aussie, I can't remember her name, but she was a personality here, and that's what she was called.
It's probably a reference to her then.
Probably. Long time ago.
There's quite a lot of these that I know off the top of my head, like Lumberjill would have been Timbertina from Panama, spoken word artist was Semhar, but then you get to like hostage negotiator and I'm like, who was that?
Chris Sabian?
Or humanitarian, which obviously was Jenny Louise.
You chastise me, a humanitarian.
Me, a humanitarian who developed the drop method fitness app. How dare you, Lee?
I do quite like how consistently we have more trouble with doing the drop method fitness app than we do saying the word anesthesiologist or phlebotomist.
You mean anesthesiologist?
You're
Rachel,
saying
this
it
is
like you've had anesthetic as well.
This is very tough for me to say.
Now you sound like, what is that, rabbit? No, not rabbit. The guy who tries to kill the rabbit. What's his name?
Elmer
You're
Fudd?
sounding like him. Yes.
Be careful, I'm hunting rabbit. I can track him with my drop method fitness app.
And for once in their life, Becca and Floyd get asked for more energy by the judge.
Oh my gosh, how is that even possible?
Cocaine.
Logan, that's your answer to everything.
It'd be super easy to find in Vietnam, I'm sure.
And in the back of the pack, Janelle and Brittany and Leo and Jamal get lost and crash a wedding, which is our first ad break cliffhanger. And then Becca and Floyd leave Light It Up in first. And it's an instant roadblock, which is who's ready to tune out. And in this roadblock, one team member must learn some lines of a Vietnamese karaoke song to get their next clue.
Guide your light?
It is not Guide Your Light, although Guide Your Light would have been much more appropriate to this episode, given that instead we get a song that has some very interesting lyrics.
Have you seen the video clip?
I haven't seen the video clip. What I have seen is the transliterated lyrics of this song.
No, you need to watch the video. You need to watch the video. There's a particular part where a man is cutting meat wearing a rather small apron and he's naked on top. And what the singer does to this guy, I'm going, oh my gosh, you couldn't show that in Australia. Or there's a little naked boy in it practically the whole time. It is just so bizarre. With the Chihuahua as well. Oh my God, you've got to look at it.
Well, they had to sing the chorus of this song, and the translation of what they were singing is the following. So now the most important thing is, that man is hooking up with this woman. That man is cheating on this woman. That man is physically abusing this woman, and she fell down right here.
That is so weird.
Yeah.
Maybe, I guess it's tough when you're just two moms.
Is We're Just Two Moms going to be the new Janelle and Brittany excuse?
Yeah.
We can't help it, we're just two moms.
Yeah, because they deserve to have that. If they've actually had that come out of their mouths, they can have it repeated about them.
So it is Floyd, Colin, Victor, Eliza, Tyler, Rachel, Janelle, Brett, and Leo doing this roadblock.
Do you think Colin dedicated the song to Myrna then?
I hope so.
Is that why he was so enthusiastic when singing it?
I would love it if, after 15 years, Colin Gwynn still has a blood feud with Schmurder and Myrna.
I love how Colin had to sing those lyrics despite being a very devout Buddhist.
He's let everything else go, but he just can't let his undying hatred of Charlotte and Myrna go.
That was hard. Unbelievably hard.
Yeah, how do you think you would have actually done on this challenge?
It would have taken me a while. As I was saying to someone online last night, I wouldn't have been able to look at the screen. I would have just looked at my paper and listened to it. But it was fast. But it did. I saw there was there were similarities and there was a bit of repetition. But yeah, tricky.
They weren't judged on intonation this time like the Lao alphabet last week.
No, I think it was more enthusiasm than anything that got people through this challenge.
I wish Rupert would have been able to do this.
He wouldn't have been able to do this. That's the key.
Yeah.
Rupert's karaoke skills, I'm going to guess without having seen them, can only be described as not good.
Well, the thing is, he has to get increasingly frustrated with it.
What, threaten death and rot on them?
Well, he would just throw the mic down and, bulldoze his way through half of the tiny Vietnamese audience.
You know what I would have loved, though? Is if old Colin had to do this challenge, and he just got really frustrated.
My microphone is broken.
It's bullshit.
My vocal cords are broken, not the microphone.
And then we go back to the shrimp detour, where Eliza describes it as a nightmare, and I would also argue that being around Tyler and Corey for the day would be. Low-hanging fruit, but I couldn't resist that one. And Elitha has no rhythm, and Victor says that he comes from a dancing background as he's Puerto Rican.
Boricua Morena.
And then Eliza gets their first shrimp, Corinne gets nips, and she swears a lot.
Yes.
That doesn't sound like Corinne.
She was the closest to doing a Colin Gwynn at This Is Bullshit. And then Colin and Christy light it up in second after 4 attempts, and Nicole and Victor leave it in third after 8 attempts.
You'd think if any team was going to leave Light It Up in first, it would probably be Leo and Jamal.
Well, I can't say I'm surprised that Becca and Floyd were the ones to leave Light It Up in first, given that, they do come from Colorado.
Not just Colorado, Boulder, Colorado.
Yeah.
And do you think production slanted it just a little bit in Beck and Floyd's favor this week?
Well, given that they have had a horrific past couple of weeks.
And also given that they go back to Vietnam and they give them every challenge was an indoor challenge, and both the detour and the roadblock involved music and rhythm.
Yeah, it was definitely their leg to lose, this one.
If they're not going to win this leg, they're not going to win anything the whole season.
Yeah. And then we get a flashback to Rachel dancing in India and that being awful. And her and Elitha are so bad that the backing dancers actually visibly mock them after their 16th attempt.
Well, no, Rachel was perfect. It was Elitha who was atrocious.
And yes, it's Rachel who breaks down about all this, and Elitha has to tell her to put her 35-year-old big girl panties on. At which point she takes massive offence, because she was 33 at the time.
I'm not 35! I mean, by the time the season aired, she was 37.
I did actually have to Google how old Rachel Riley was, just to be sure that she wasn't actually 35 by the time it aired.
Why would her sister say that? It's really random.
So random.
Well, to say a different age than what your sister actually is, it's just weird.
That was very Jermaine, Michelle.
I didn't talk like that.
And for the first time all episode, we actually have to mention Chris and Brett, because they are terrible and decide to switch detours, therefore breaking the one Michelle Pearce-Donovan rule.
Yes, never switch. But
not good. You went a little bit Rupert there. Not good.
You shouldn't have picked dancing at the beginning. Why did they even pick it? Why did they even try? First of all, they're older males. They have no chance.
The thing is, if you're faced with a detour like this, where it's basically luck versus skill, I've seen former Amazing Racers always go, you should always pick the detour where you're being judged, because at least you can improve on what you're doing.
Well, I got some more insight into why Chris and Brett chose the dancing task. So Tyler Oakley messaged me, what was it, yesterday? Hey guys, you probably wondered why Chris and Brett chose that side of the detour. It was because during the 80s, Chris was a breakdancer when he was in college. So apparently Chris did breakdancing. I didn't know that. And Brett was a backup dancer for Jennifer Lopez in the mid to late 90s before he joined the police force. Did it as a summer job.
Interesting. Thank you, Tyler, for that information.
It's just that they hadn't danced in a really long time, and Vietnamese dancing is very different than break dancing or for Jennifer Lopez.
Yeah.
And they brittle bones now, because Chris and Brett are now old as fuck.
And Corinne and Eliza leave Real in fourth, and they freak out about the prospect of Eliza getting to do some karaoke. And then it is Tyler and Corey who leave Real in fifth, at which point A Shrimp falls off the box that the judge is using to count them. Rachel and Lalitha leave Light in sixth after 18 attempts. Janelle and Brittany leave Lighted Up in seventh after 6 attempts. And then we just get the final two there.
Survivor doesn't do final twos anymore. Amazing Race doesn't do final twos either.
Despite Logan really wanting that to happen eventually.
Only Big Brother somehow.
And there's no intrigue to this episode. Floyd leaves a roadblock in first. No one else has even turned up. So teams must now find Ho Tai Kai, the pit stop for this leg of the race. The last team to check in may be eliminated.
Yeah, that Big Brother alliance didn't really crack Floyd and Becca this round.
Nope. But anyway, enough of the successful people. Let's go to Colin, who greets everyone at Kingdom Karaoke with, "Who's ready for a karaoke party?"
Hosted
He's
by
so
Colin
happy now.
Quinn.
He's so happy. He's a completely different man.
I love this complete 180 from Colin. It's so much fun for me to know that he has the potential to be a complete stress pot, and yet we get really happy, positive Colin just being enthusiastic about everything. The complete opposite to what we've previously seen.
Do you see the post about Christy saying that she just cannot dance and has 2 left feet? And she even, I think on Instagram, she even picked out all of the clips where she just couldn't dance at all.
I didn't, but they were making me laugh so much during that detour because it was blatantly obvious that Colin was very enthusiastic about it, and Christy was just like, I hope I don't make a tit of myself on TV for this.
Or when she was cheering him on at the roadblock, when she's like joining in with the rest of the dancers too, as if she's like that drunk college woman at a party, smoking the wrong side of a cigarette.
But the best thing about this is the fact that after the detour, we just get a complete Colin and Christy confessional breakdown, basically, of him just doing poses repeatedly. And it's wonderful. And it's our banner this week, because I love Colin and Christy.
It's his own dance.
Yeah. And Leo and Jamal gets rejected again at Light It Up. And then Eliza shows up to the roadblock and yells non-stop, trying to force people out of the room. And she admits full well that she was just being annoying.
What was that?
What?
Eliza? So noisy. So, what is that? Why did she just start screaming?
This is the first episode in a long while where I've been spoilt for choice for your intros, because there's about 4 that we've covered so far where I'm like, yeah, I could have used that as an intro.
The screaming one.
Well, I could have easily had, and the lady who fully admits on the podcast that she's annoying, Michelle Pierce-Donovan.
I am annoying to some people some of the time. Correct.
This episode was fun, at least. It was a blatantly obvious non-elimination episode, but it was just fun.
So much fun.
It was infinitely better than everything we saw in last season. Not that that's saying anything, but...
It was good and fun.
Yeah. And Victor leaves the roadblock in second, at which point we find out that Colin Gwynn is delightfully awful at karaoke in Vietnamese.
But that energy, though, that's what carries him through.
Yeah, he leaves in third.
My Cheong is broken.
I'm packing it. So at the pit stop, Becca and Floyd check in first, no intrigue whatsoever, and they win a trip to the Bahamas, and we get both a massage and a spa.
Yes! It's in caps. It's large on my page. We got a spa.
For anyone who listens to this podcast a lot, you'll know that any time we hear the word spa said on one of the travel prizes, Michelle goes absolutely mental. She loves a spa.
I love the spa.
And Becca and Floyd say that redemption has never been so much fun. And the last person to say that was Boston Rob.
But they didn't even do any tasks that involved Floyd dying, though. They weren't in the heat, they were indoors, and they were doing music and rhythm challenges that they do in their everyday life. Floyd was in a band. That's not redemption. That's just doing what you do at home.
Very true, but if you think back to this season on the Amazing Race preview, and I know we haven't talked about it at all, but if you think back to that, there's a certain task that appeared in Vietnam last time that seems to be a switchback that has to be next week, because it's the last episode in Vietnam next week. I don't know whether you remember which one it is, but there's a potentially iconic task returning again.
Really?
Yes. And if you think back to the challenge that Floyd lost, and the fact that that was a detour, you may remember what the other side of that detour was.
No, I don't.
The side that Floyd lost on, or the task that Floyd lost on, was previously seen in Season 3, in their Vietnam visit, as basket bikes. The opposite side was basket boats. And I happen to remember that we may have seen at least one team in those conical boats.
Oh my god, that was amazing. That challenge is so good.
So it looks like we're going to get our first detour switchback. And I'm very surprised they didn't put it in the preview at all.
Yeah, maybe because they've already used it.
Yeah, but with an iconic task like this, they really should be hyping it up as much as possible to try and get all the casual fans to be very confused about it, and all the hardcore fans going, oh my god, they're actually doing it. What the hell?
Yeah.
I thought their memory only extends back to Season 5.
It's much further back than they've previously admitted their memory goes back to. And Eliza gets rejected at the karaoke before Tyler leaves in 4th, and Eliza leaves in 5th. Nicole and Victor check in 2nd, with 0 match at.
Nicole and Victor are having a very strong performance this season.
They are, however they don't have the best record of the season, because that belongs to Colin and Christy, who check in 3rd.
When's the last time that Colin and Christy's done worse than 4th all season? Or, I mean, in both their seasons. Was it Leg 2 of Season 5?
Yeah. Colin and Christy now have the best average of the season, as of this week. And also for the second week on the chart, have the best running average of any All-Star team in this season. They are doing very well, and they're being very sneaky about doing very well.
Because they're just helping everyone, and they're being so mellow.
They're avoiding U-turns. And does that remind you of any team who previously won, who may be our favourite winning team, at least in the seasons we've covered? A team who's very social and trying to avoid doing U-turns, but actually very good at things.
Brooke and Scott?
Yes. And a team who are very prone to meltdowns. Maybe not anymore, but I'm just saying.
It's really, like, Colin and Christy, there's just no sense of them ever being in danger. Unless it involves an ox. That's been about it for, 1.5 seasons now.
I'm very disappointed if we aren't going to get a return of the Carabao task. Just for funsies.
God, I wish they'd put it in. They're probably not. They'll probably leave Asia after this.
So, Tyler and Corey checking in 4th, Corinne and Eliza checking in 5th, and Janelle and Brittany, because they're so proud to be moms, checking in 6th. They just left 4 men in the dust.
Oh my god. We're teaching our daughters that they can do anything. We're racing against men and we're beating them. Christ in heaven.
I forgot how much they sang as you.
Why the hell are they perpetuating that women can't do what men do? By saying those lines, I'm so speechless. I can't take it. What's wrong with them?
And Chris tries to tell their driver that they're in a race for $1 million, which, if you know anything about the Vietnamese dong, means it's about $50 to the taxi driver.
Which would still be a lot of money to them. It's more than what they make in a year.
Oh yeah, but considering that I think the Amazing Race Vietnam, they compete for a prize of 300 million dong, which works out about $75,000.
That's the grand prize.
That's the grand prize, yeah.
And you'd be set for life, probably, with that money in Vietnam.
Yeah, it would be money for life from Petro Vietnam.
All the dong you can dream of.
And Janelle shouts to Rachel when they can't find the pit stop, but they do check in 7th. Leo and Jamal check in 8th. And Chris and Brett appear somewhere to check in last, but sadly they are non-eliminated. And of course, there's a speed bump.
And it is probably the shortest match chat with a team saved by a non-elimination in a very long time.
Yeah.
They're just, we're going to try and get over this speed bump. We're not out yet. And that's it. None of the other, Eliza was the only one who referenced Chris and Brett all episodes saying, they wouldn't be dumb enough to do the dance. They're 2 old guys. And then Chris and Brett say, Rupert and Laura gone. We're the 2 old guys. We're the 2 oldest people left, even though I think they're only
40s?
Yeah, not very old at all.
I think they're both younger than Michelle.
They are. I'm pretty sure they are.
So, next time, teams stay in Ho Chi Minh City. There are polar bears, The Mole Moped School reappears, and Rachel and Alyssa and Corinne and Eliza fight.
Yeah, what's with the mole challenge crossing over to American Amazing Race?
Of all the mole challenges from this season I expected to cross over with, this was not the one. Maybe the dinner with Mr. Huang.
Roadblock. You have to convince Mr. Huang to use the word Reagan pipe during dinner. Once you do so, you get your next clue. Or the other roadblock is hang underneath a table without anybody pulling you out of the table for 2 minutes.
So, who do you think's going home next week, seeing as though we know it's an elimination?
I mean, Chris and Brett have done awful. Nothing's worked for them.
I'd be surprised if they don't.
Like, who have they beaten so far this season?
Let me have a look.
They did way worse than what I was even expecting. Like, they're terrible.
Oh, they've beaten Corinne and Eliza once, the first leg.
Yeah, they've currently beaten 6 teams in 3 legs.
Yeah.
But how many out of the remaining teams?
Well, it's Janelle and Brittany, Corinne and Eliza, and Rupert and Laura, and Art and JJ in the first leg.
Yeah, 2 of those teams are gone, so that doesn't count.
And then it was Becca and Floyd and Rupert and Laura in the second leg.
And one of those teams was U-turned.
Yeah.
So they only beat 2 teams on the first leg, and that's been it after 3 legs.
Yeah.
So yeah, they're going home.
And have you guys got any predictions for who's going to win?
I'm
Next
still
leg?
with my 2 teams, I think. I'll win the leg or the whole thing?
I'm in win-win, but...
How about just win the
Still the
leg?
Okay, win the leg, whatever.
Let's see, there's no U-turn. Leo and Jamal, I can't see them swinging all the way back to first place again. I feel like they're still going to want to get the jitters out from being so shitty at dancing.
Well, this is the first leg where they're staying in the same city as well. So the time advantage actually will help.
Oh, there might
I
not
think
be an
Becca and
equalizer.
Floyd, then.
Yeah.
Yeah, Becca and Floyd then. Or Nicole and Victor, they're doing really well in the second.
I kind of like the idea of them never winning a leg, though.
Why?
Because it's always funny when a team comes second repeatedly.
What season was it where there was a team that was just second all the time?
It's happened a few times.
Yeah, that's happened a few times. Gotta narrow it down, Michelle.
So frustrating when they do that.
For them, it is.
Yeah, but sometimes it's for me, because when I'm running it down 2, 2, 2, 2, and then I'm thinking, oh my God, just get yourself a 1 once.
Maybe Colin Christie will win next leg.
Hopefully. They need to start winning some legs. They need the leg win record. They're only about 4 away, I think.
Yeah, I initially predicted because somebody said, oh, who's going to get the leg win record? And I said, well, I mean, Rupert and Laura could win 10 legs in a row.
They're not going to.
Chris and Brett technically could tie it, I guess. They could get 9.
Yeah.
Just start off really weak and then be really, 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 really strong.
Lull everyone into a false sense of security.
Yes. They were just playing possum the whole time. But you know what? I think Colin and Christie are going to take it next leg. I think this is it's just going to be like their original run where they were a bit mellow, kinda, the first couple rounds. And then you just start kicking everyone repeatedly. Like you're the Chong Miao guy. So,
have you guys got anything else you want to say?
Were there any questions that were...
Not that I noticed. Nothing interesting.
No? Okay. Then no, I have nothing else to say.
Okay. Well, thank you for listening to this Amazing Race podcast. We'll be back next Sunday for another episode. If you got any questions, feel free to contact us on our Facebook page, Reality TV Warriors, on our Twitter account, RTV Warriors, or on Twitter pages, MJ Harmstone for me, Logs of Quirky for Logan, and Bear333 for Michelle. Also, if you're watching De België, Logan and I are going to be at the finale on Sunday. I can't wait. It's going to be amazing. It'll be all over social media. See you next week.
Bye.
I'm surprised Raiden didn't sue the dance crew for copying his outfit from Mortal Kombat. Peace out.
And that's how Logan sees it.